Hello everybody, welcome to this video. This time I'm going to talk about what is the ultimate spiritual path. And in this day and age, we no longer have the problem of not having access to powerful spiritual teachings. What becomes a problem for many people is that there's too much access. People cannot really decide, am I going to stick to this path or that path? What is worth to really pursue? So what happens is that many people are only skimming the surface on many different spiritual paths, but they're never going into any real depth, neither within the teachings nor within themselves. So their results are very poor, they are very superficial. In this video, I want to help point out what is the ultimate spiritual path that will be worth one's time and one's energy. And to do this, we need the proper context. And I'll introduce a concept that is called pre-incarnate blueprint or pre-birth planning. What this means is that our greater soul, prior to incarnation, choose a certain purpose for this incarnation. The soul wanted certain experiences, and these experiences can be very different depending on person. So there are great variations in our pre-incarnate blueprints. What will be the ultimate spiritual path for one person, the same path might be a complete distraction for another person. So when a spiritual teacher say that this is the ultimate spiritual path, well, that may be true for the spiritual teachers, but it's up for the listener to decide, is this for me? It may or may not be. The whole idea of ultimate spiritual path will be extremely subjective and extremely personal because it all depends on this pre-birth blueprint and the purpose for this incarnation. With this context established, how then do one find one's purpose, or how then do one align to one's pre-incarnate blueprint and one's ultimate spiritual path? I'll introduce two different themes of how one can encounter one's purpose and how one can grow into one's greatest version of oneself. The first theme is the alignment with one's joy and one's inspiration. As I said, our greater soul planned this incarnation, but this greater aspect of ourself didn't just leave us there. The soul always guides us so that we can align ourselves to the best version of ourselves. The guidance we receive is mostly in the positive emotions that we have. When we learn to understand and act on this guidance, we will align ourselves with our higher path. And these positive emotions can be joy, it can be excitements, it can be what we become interested in, what inspires us, and so on. If we follow these emotions and we act on our passion, we act on our interest, we will align ourselves to our guidance system, we will align ourselves to our spirit. And this is the ultimate spirituality, to align ourselves with our own spirit. Another theme of how we can align ourselves to the greatest version of ourselves is not through joy and inspiration and passion, it can be through pain. Pain and suffering is also guidance that tells us, here we should think differently, here we should act differently, here we might change perspectives. So this can be very, very powerful. Response to suffering is a great motivator into how we can grow and fulfill our own potential. This kind of motivation is actually quite central in some spiritual paths. And it's certainly true in non-duality, and it's certainly true for my path within non-duality. We can see that the path of passion and the path of suffering are really not that different. They are both motivations. And motivation is essential. Motivation is very, very important because that is what keeps us on the path. We need to feel a sense of meaning. We need to feel a sense of purpose in our activity. Otherwise, we will just change our mind and do something different. Now, something that we have to understand when we talk about the alignment with our pre-incarnate blueprint, the alignment with our ultimate spiritual path, is that these principles are much vaster than spirituality as we usually think of it. Because everything is spirituality, everything is spirit in motion. So one's spirituality might not fit into the normal category of spirituality. Again, what's perfect alignment differs from person to person. One's perfect alignment with their ultimate spiritual path might be focusing on family, on painting, on going on adventures. These are all legitimate paths that can lead one to wholeness, to expand into one's greatest version of oneself. One shouldn't really put a spiritual purpose in a box because they are very, very different. Now, to summarize this video, the ultimate spiritual path is very personal because each of us have different pre-incarnate blueprints. We have different purposes of our incarnations. We are in constant communication with the totality of our being, and we are guided through our emotions. So when we follow our passion, our joy, our excitement, our interests, we will align ourselves with our spirit. We are also guided by our pain and our suffering. Our pain and our suffering is our higher guidance system telling us that here we might want to change direction. We might want to do something different. So we can start to realign to our higher path. The suffering becomes a great motivator. And motivation is what we need to change. Motivation is what we need to follow our path, to find the ultimate spiritual path for you. Examine your passion and your pain. There you will find the answers. There you will find the coordinates to your spirit. And there's no greater teacher than your own spirit. That was all I want to say about this topic today. If you liked the video, write a comment, subscribe for more similar content. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.